At this moment, the celestial dog regained some consciousness and sobbed, "Am I going to die here?" In its subconscious, it recalled the time it spent playing with Hanju. The celestial dog grabbed his leg, begging for food, thinking, "Master, please forgive me." Thinking back to the struggles between the chickens and the prison chickens, the celestial dog felt guilty. "If I had listened to the prison chicken family and not left bitter cultivation Immortal Mountain, there wouldn't have been so much suffering." A sharp blade was on its face, ready to kill the celestial dog at any moment. It felt regret that it would never have the chance to start over. The mage gave the order. The system screen displayed, "Your divine beast, Chaos Celestial Dog, has been sacrificed." Hanju's expression instantly turned like that of a hellish Azura. A powerful force erupted, his eyes bloodshot, and death energy surged. The celestial dog's blood flowed down a pre-dug stone crack, constantly trickling down. Then, the blood dropped drop by drop. The demons shouted, "Sacrifice it, we will surely awaken the demon emperor." Torches flickered, and the people around them were wrapped in leaves. They frantically beat the drums to make the sacrificial ceremony even grander. The realization was there, with black spots already covering their faces. The cries of the demons grew louder, "Demon Emperor, revive!" The celestial dog's body emitted a green demonic aura. The figure of Nahi flickered in the air, and all the demons raised their hands and shouted, "Demon Emperor, return!" He glanced at the celestial dog, his tone filled with regret. "A divine beast? Quite rare. It's a pity that such a treasure has died." Nahi lowered his head and began absorbing the celestial dog's remnants, speaking while moving, "Keep it for later use." At this moment, a warning message popped up on the system screen. "Your divine pet, Chaos Celestial Dog, has been sacrificed and become the mount of the Demon Emperor's successor, Nahi." Hanju stood before the message, his spiritual energy being pressed to its limits. The surrounding forces completely surrounded him. Hanju secretly blamed himself. Dog egg was sacrificed. The Demon Emperor's successor, Nahi. What is that? He seemed to have gone mad, releasing his anger, his eyes bloodshot, unable to stop complaining, "Sacrificing my dog. Did you ask me if I agreed? What does successor Nahi even mean?" Seeing Hanju lose his calm for the first time, the prison chicken also trembled in fear, saying, "Master, please calm down, we will work hard to practice the sword." Hanju stepped forward, his mind beginning to ponder, "The heavens are high and the earth vast, even if I try to find them, I can't. How could Nahi appear in the human world?" Looking at the inscription on the cave door, it read, "Endure for a moment." Hanju walked into the cave, where more words were inscribed, "The sea is vast and the sky is endless." As he walked, he immersed himself in his complex thoughts. Breaking through the sky level is equivalent to reaching the Great Ascension realm. With an angry hand, veins bulging, he slammed his hand onto the Book of Doom. The strokes Hanju wrote glowed with red light, and he wrote with a forceful fury, "I don't believe you can withstand the curse." Hanju's eyes were wide open like dead fish eyes, with blood vessels showing on the whites. He already had a plan in mind. "Thank you, this is just a chance to test my limits." 3 months later, Xiao Zi was deeply focused on reading, in seclusion, looking as if he were a celestial being. Hanju's voice echoed in the air, "Excuse me, sect leader." Hanju entered Xiao Zi's cave, and Xiao Zi was very surprised to see him. He warmly greeted him, "Swordmaster, stop with the roundabout talk, let's get to the point." Hanju opened his mouth to ask, "I have something I'd like to ask." Xiao Zi responded, "Han Elder?" Xiao Zi's words annoyed Hanju, his face as yellow as paper. "Do you also read books?" He immediately denied, "No. I was just a bit tired after staying up all night." A thought had already risen in his mind. "Nahi has neither affection nor hatred towards me. I can't even see the effect of the curse. The kill 100 enemies, lose 10,000 strategy clearly doesn't work anymore." Inside Xiao Zi's cave, Hanju asked, "Do you know Nahi?" The two sat and drank tea. Xiao Zi looked at his teacup, lost in thought, as if he had heard the name somewhere. Before. Xiaozi recalled, Nahi? That name sounds familiar. Wait, I remember. Anyone who studies demonic cultivation has heard of this name. Hanju asked in surprise, is the demonic cultivator really the demon emperor? Xiaozi firmly replied, yes. He was the demon emperor who once unified the world of demonic cultivation. Hanju looked at Xiaozi skeptically, as if trying to extract more information from him. He asked, why is it just a legend? Xiaozi explained. Because he died long ago. But the legend about him still circulates within demonic cultivation. Hanju curiously asked, what legend? Xiaozi lowered his head with a serious expression and began to tell the story. This legend is one of the most well-known in the demonic cultivation world. Nahi wore clothes resembling imperial robes, and a dragon crown on his head. According to Xiaozi, he was the emperor of the largest dynasty in history. At that time, after Nahi ascended the throne, the country was prosperous, and everyone knew he liked to collect human-shaped models. It was said he had hundreds of thousands of models, but now only around 2,000 to 3,000 remain. Moreover, buying and selling them was forbidden. Nahi trusted treacherous ministers who killed loyal officials, and in his pursuit of immortality and safeguarding the dynasty's prosperity, he followed the advice of these ministers and turned to the demonic path. As a result, he became consumed by his cultivation, turning into a madman. Soon, he vanished without a trace, causing turmoil in the court. In the war with a neighboring kingdom, arrows rained down, and the people suffered in the sea of flames, eventually leading to the downfall of his empire as it was besieged and destroyed by the enemy. He went mad, his form no longer resembling a human. After walking the demonic path, his eyes emitted red demonic energy. However, during his madness, he lived for 1,000 years using an unnamed demonic technique, until his demonic power reached its peak and he regained his sanity. His weak body and ragged clothes, Nahi stood before the empire he had once poured his heart into. But now, looking back, where was the former authoritative and wise Nahi? He found that the empire had long since fallen, and even the human-shaped models no longer existed. The mountains and rivers shattered. The wind blew like floating willow leaves, and life drifted like raindrops on floating duckweed. In a room, the human empire was playing music and dancing, with the emperor acting like a puppet, indulging in luxury, surrounded by countless beautiful women. For some reason, his expression suddenly turned to one of terror, his eyes seemingly about to pop out. A horrifying scene unfolded. Nahi was pierced by countless swords and arrows, yet he remained unscathed. He walked into the room where the emperor was enjoying the music. Seeing Nahi, the emperor, like a puppet, went mad, stammering, who are you? In the dark room, Nahi gave a cold smile, standing in the backlight, his face dim and unclear. He spoke in a ghostly voice. To the emperor, go ask your family's water ancestor emperor, they'll know. Without letting the emperor say anything more, Nahi sent him back to the Earth Mother, entrusting him to those he called the water ancestor emperors. The emperor died in an extremely suffocating manner, and his clothes were stripped by Nahi and replaced with rags like a beggar's. In a fit of rage, Nahi wildly slaughtered the cultivation sects and the human empire. The women who had previously been singing were also brutally murdered. He put on their clothes and made them stand in front of him, like models. From years ago, Nahi quietly sat on the emperor's body, now dressed in the emperor's red robes. His face was full of anger. The suffering he had endured for thousands of years couldn't be soothed by simply killing a few people. A vicious light flickered in Nahi's eyes, turning him into an evil demon lord that the great powers of the time could not contend with. Even his name was unmentionable, though there were still strong cultivators in the Great Ascension realm. Most had already ascended. The remaining ones were few in number, and ultimately, due to the vast difference in their levels, all perished at Nahi's hands. He alone waged war against the major cultivation sections. Though he was the strongest in the world, he was still unsatisfied and began recruiting demonic cultivators to wage war in all directions. He later established the demonic tide, unifying the world, causing more than half of the mortal lands to fall under the control of demonic cultivators. Thousands of years of tradition and rituals collapsed, internal wars and foreign invasions never ceased. And young and middle-aged men were forced to work, even using living humans as sacrifices for the gods and demons. More and more people joined the demonic race, and the demonic cult ran rampant, causing society's productivity to sharply decline. That period was extremely dark and impossible to recall. After hearing the legend of Nahi, Hanju seemed unsatisfied and wanted to know more, so he asked Qingzi, what happened next? Qingzi picked up his teacup and said, fortunately, he ultimately died during the tribulation while ascending. At that time, Nahi confidently faced the thunder tribulation. If he hadn't died, perhaps the entire world would have been controlled by demonic cultivators. Powerful lightning struck the earth, causing rock walls to shatter and debris to fly. He soared into the sky to meet the thunder. Hanju rested his chin and thought, crossing the tribulation leads to ascension, but the great ascension realm failed. According to the system's information, he must have been resurrected through the sacrifice of the Tengu's bloodline. He said this hurriedly, preparing to leave but not forgetting to thank Qingzi. Thank you for the explanation, sect leader. Qingzi, puzzled, asked, why does Han sect leader care about Nahi? Is Nahi's demonic disciple going to be resurrected? Hanju didn't respond about the Tengu matter, his eyes flashing with light, and the corner of his mouth curled into a slight smile as he said to Qingzi, I was just asking. I'm going back to cultivate. He turned and said, see me off. Qingzi watched his departing back, knowing that something must have happened based on his understanding of Hanju. He thought to himself, Han sect leader's casual question is definitely not simple. Qingzi began to doubt, could the demon emperor really be resurrected? Gazing at the sky full of white clouds, standing before the immortal mountain cave, Hanju couldn't help but sigh. Can our Yuqing holy sect not be peaceful for long? His hands behind his back, Hanju looked at the Yuqing holy sect, deep in thought, muttering a curse. 3 months, he truly couldn't hold it any longer. Hanju's gaze gradually became more focused, and his expression turned serious. How can I let Nahi know about me without being discovered? Under the blue sky and white clouds, amidst a rocky mountain range, a modern house appeared. Suddenly, Hanju saw Hai Quan standing outside. She turned her head and looked at him. Hanju scratched his head and then raised his hand to greet her, stammering, Master, good afternoon. Hai Quan quickly walked up and placed her hand on his forehead, checking if Hanju had a fever or any pain. Her hand was pressed against Hanju's forehead, and the other hand on her own forehead, before coming to the conclusion. As expected, your energy is insufficient, your meridians are chaotic, and you seem to have lost too much blood. Hai Quan frowned as she looked at Hanju, her eyes filled with concern and reproach. You must have encountered problems in your cultivation, right? Answer me honestly. Hanju's eyes widened as he looked at her, his heart tightening in nervousness. Was using the Book of Doom discovered? Hai Quan frowned, her expression stern as she said to Hanju, with your cultivation and the fact that you haven't left the sect, it's nearly impossible for you to be injured unless there's a problem in your cultivation. I really can't think of any other possibility. Hanju, hearing her reasoning, broke out in cold sweat, cursing inwardly, damn. The side effects of using the Book of Doom are too obvious. How was I discovered? Hai Quan continued, although the injury has healed, your spirit seems drained. Do you feel overly exhausted? Hanju hesitated for a moment, wanting to explain himself. Actually, Hai Quan sighed and interrupted him. I predicted this day would come. I've already told you to take proper rest during cultivation. Explaining the Tao is already very taxing on your mental energy. You talked for 7 days, and that was fine, but then you continued to cultivate. Hanju was shocked and asked, Master, you heard me explain the Tao, how was it? You didn't hear anything bad, did you? He Quan sighed and looked away, answering with a blank expression, that day, I was still traveling outside. I only learned about the Tao lecture after speaking for 7 consecutive days. Hanju scratched his head upon hearing this and realized, ah, so you just returned. Then Kwon suddenly remembered something and said to him, speaking of traveling, this was an unexpected gain. Hanju asked in confusion, huh? Behind them, two people were hiding and eavesdropping. Chang'an shouted, be careful. Lugue also said, sigh. Is the master trying to catch her? Kwon handed over a tea box with good tea for everyone written on it. She said to Hanju, this is an ancient tea I dug up from a ruin. I don't know how long it's been preserved, but it can warm the yang and replenish qi, strengthening the foundation. It's perfect for you to take back and drink. Hanju looked at the tea box and happily said, living spirit tea, good tea. Looks like master has gained a lot from traveling recently. Kwon agreed, indeed, there have been gains. Fortunately, you're here to watch over the holy sect, so elders like me can increase our luck and rest easy when we go out to train. Before you arrived, it was common for other elders to return empty-handed. How could I not thank the lucky star of the Yuqing holy sect? Hanju, flattered by the praise, immediately waved his hand in denial. Master is joking. I'm not that capable. As for thanking me, there's no need. Suddenly, Hanju noticed something from the side. Over there, Fang Liang, Lu Gue, Chang'an, Tiandong, and Rongqi were eating watermelon, showing gossiping expressions as they watched Hanju and Kwon. He was silent for several seconds. Then, in anger, Hanju threw a jar at the group, scaring them into quickly running away. He chased after them, shouting, go practice swordsmanship and take this ancient tea back to your cave for offering. Kwon saw this scene and suddenly said, I really envy these disciples. They are so lucky to have this opportunity. In my life, I've never heard a powerful cultivator lecture on the Tao. I missed it because I was out. Hanju quickly called out, no. Master, you haven't missed it. A Tao lecture doesn't have to be at the ends of the earth. We can have a one-on-one lecture. We can go to your cave or mine, as long as you don't mind. From the moment you went to become an immortal, the opportunity has been with you. Although Master has been distant from opportunities for many years, you've created even greater opportunities. You care for the entire sect, and now I'm here to repay the kindness and offer guidance. Kwon was silent for a moment before speaking, if it doesn't bother you, Han Dao friend. She smiled and said, it's not impossible. Suddenly, Han Zi appeared from nowhere, interrupting Kwon's words, what are you planning, junior sister? He was shirtless, with a noticeable belly, and a diagonal cloth hung across his chest with the words any evil must be punished justly. A small flag was also hanging on his back. Han Zi's appearance made both Hanju and Kwon silent. He continued, actually, I already noticed something was wrong. I didn't expect Elder Han to be here too. Hanju looked confused and asked, huh? Han Zi grabbed Hanju's hand and said, I've been paying attention to the movements of the demonic cultivators, don't worry. You're not alone. Whether it's attacking demonic cultivators or the demon emperor, we righteous cultivators will never allow it. Hanju asked in confusion, what does this mean? But he quickly added, wasn't I just asking casually earlier? Besides, they've been dead for so long. Han Zi then shifted his reasoning in another direction, saying, but Elder Han's words clearly indicate something is going on. Investigating these matters means you're already aware of the righteous cultivators hunting demons. We didn't want to stir up trouble. Hanju, filled with, asked with a face full of question marks. Han Zi continued, actually, signs of the demonic sect's revival were detected years ago. You know, the demonic sect shouldn't exist in this world. Demon hunting missions need to be highly confidential. The demonic cultivators are colluding, and the investigation process is full of difficulties. The true purpose of the sect's revival is still unclear. Combining the questions raised by Elder Han, it becomes clear this isn't simple. The optimistic outcome is the unification of the demonic sect, but the worst-case scenario is aiding the revival of the demon emperor, ending the source of it all.